Hello YouTube. Many months ago, a couple years ago I guess, I did a video about Watsonx Assistant interacting with Cloud Pak for Business Automation, Business Automation Workflow, and ADS, which are part of the Cloud Pak for Business Automation Workflow. Now I'm going to replace this Orchestrate with Orchestrate and show you how to build an agent. And sort of as we move into this agentic future, all of these sort of back-end systems will become agents instead of being sort of synchronous where I got to fill in exactly the right fields like web forms and web pages and order forms and HTML forms and whatnot. The future is I can use large language models to sort of detect the intent of the customer and then automatically fill some of the content out. So the world will go much more agentic in the future. And IBM's sort of flagship product for that is Watsonx Orchestrate. This is sort of the user interface for building agents, and you see sort of architecturally it's like this. You can interact with Orchestrate via voice or chat or web or mobile, and then it provides this orchestration layer to call back-end systems, other agents, large language models, AI models, etc. Now, one thing that often is asked of me is sort of what's the difference of that versus business automation workflow. So think of Orchestrate as sort of your personal agent, and it interacts with these back-end systems, and you interact with it, and then it calls these back-end systems. Okay, so it's orchestrating an individual's work, the workflow of an individual. Whereas if we go to business automation workflow, you see in this case it's more about orchestrating people. So I have one person, Melissa is placing an order, then sometime later Bill gets the order, all of the state is saved behind the scenes, and then this in this case it's pizza ordering, but it could be like a mortgage application which might take 30 days. So think of business automation workflow about orchestrating teams and peoples and departments and companies, order to cash, supply chain, those types of things. So again, think of Orchestrate as orchestrating an individual. And in our daily work, as a knowledge worker, I log in, I'm interacting with Copilot, I might log in to SAP to do things, I need to connect to Workday, all these different tools and web pages that I have to fill out and user interfaces. Now I have this personal assistant, Orchestrate, that becomes my agentic agent assistant that orchestrates work for me. So I ask it to do things. It can call these various backend systems on my behalf. So think like a personal assistant person that I would say, hey, I need to go to California on Tuesday, get me a flight, get me a hotel, get me a car, and they could handle the logistics of the various airline vendors, the auto rental car places, and the hotels. They would just sort through that knowing my preferences. Versus today, I have to log into American Airlines or Southwest or I got to do a Google search and find the best airlines, and then I got to sort through it and figure out which one I want, and then I got to go get a hotel that matches the time I arrive. All that sort of stuff can now be sort of done asynchronously through agents when I just ask for, trip to California. So that's sort of where the future is going, and Orchestrate is this flagship ability to do that. So now I'll show how I build an agent from scratch. Well, first I'll show how I build it, how it's built. I'll show you how it works on connecting with Business Automation Workflow, and then I'll show you how I built it from scratch. They do work together very well, and that's what I'll show. You can actually have Orchestrate send orders. You can use MCP servers. In this case, I'm just going to show OpenAI endpoint for workflow, and then just call it from Orchestrate. And then in this case, you could see that I could have a claims risk individual that's using an agent to help them process claims. You could have another person, an agent that is submitting claims and canceling claims. These are individuals that are orchestrated by Business Automation Workflow, and they use Watsonx Orchestrate as their personal assistant to help them interact with the sort of corporate workflow engine that's in Business Automation Workflow. So, okay, let's get into how this works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I go over to IBM Cloud, and I have Orchestrate here, and you can get the trial. So IBM, actually, if you just go up here, there is a trial start for free, and that will take you over here where you can just provision on the IBM Cloud and get going. And that's what I have here. I just have a trial instance of Orchestrate, so I'm going to launch it here on the IBM Cloud. The SaaS version, this is in Dallas. It's also available on Amazon and other places, and recently FedRAMP compliant. So what I built is this flying saucer Cicerone, and a Cicerone is understands beer and helps you to choose the right beer for what you want. And this is specifically for the flying saucer, just as an example. And I can ask it things like, and let me show you the flying saucer, and then I'll show you how I interact with this agent, and then I'll place an order for beer and food from the flying saucer's menu into Business Automation Workflow. Okay, so let's say that I'm in Dallas at the airport, and I see this restaurant, brew place. They have beer, they have food, etc. And you see here, so effectively I'm going to build an agent that downloads this PDF and then understands the menu. No programming. I'm going to show you low code how to just download this menu, and then I'll also download the menu for the beer. You'll see here they have a selection of beer, and I'm going to build an agent to help me order beer and pair beer with the food. And so that's called a Cicerone. And so in Orchestrate, I do that right here. So for example, I say, can you, do you have any German beers? And so now I'm asking the agent, and you'll see this is the flying saucer. It's invoking backend system. So it pulled up the menu, and you can see here, this is where it got that from. That's the flying saucer food menu, and it's saying the Wise beer Hefeweizen. And if I go over here to my beer menu, there should be somewhere in here a Hefeweizen. Yeah, right here. So it's this. It's not choosing all. It's not just choosing random things. This is a beer style guide that talks about the apparent the specific gravity, the details of the bitterness and the alcohol and the color, SRM, all of these things for brewers. So a Cicerone usually is quite versed in these beer styles also, but in this case, it recommends one of these beers. So I say, what food pairs well with the Wise beer? And so now I'm asking for food recommendations with that beer. And so it's saying, well, you can go with the German plate, you can go with the garden salad. So, and now it says, let me know if you'd like to order. So yes, I want the German plate and the Wise beer. And so now it placed the order for me. You see here, it filled out the OpenAI spec. I didn't have to do mapping. It got the price from the menu, it got the beer, and it added it. And if I go over here to Business Automation Workflow, there should be a new order that comes in. And so you see the process has come in here, and you'll see the details of that data. This is the German plate, the beer brought, and the second item, this is the Wise beer. And I can drill in on, where is it here? Look at the diagram. So effectively, Yeah, you see it right here. This is the prepare order. I can see the diagram, and this is sort of the workflow that I've done in the past. You see that the server takes the order, or in this case, I used Orchestrate to take the order. And since it was an online order, then it bypassed take order and jumped straight into the prepare order because the Cicerone placed the order for me here. So anyway, this is an agent, and I'll show you how to build this from scratch, but this demonstrates sort of Orchestrate calling Business Automation Workflow. This whole agent can be built in about 10 minutes. I'll show how to do that. And even this Business Automation Workflow component takes about 10-15 minutes. So this whole solution can be built in under an hour. So I'll show how to do that in the next video.